All right. Good morning, everyone. So I've started recording. Right. So yesterday we discussed edge colorings, and in particular, we discussed a classification of simple graphs into class 1 and class 2 based on Wissing's theorem, right? Which we haven't proved yet. But what we will prove today is that for all bipartite graphs, not just simple, actually the edge coloring number edge chromatic number is um, is the maximum degree of the graph. Okay. Also, I should let you know that edge chromatic number is often called chromatic index in other sources, right? Instead of the edge chromatic number. So, but I'll stick to Bondi and Murthy. Okay. So our main goal today is to prove the following theorem, which says that for bipartite graph G, the edge chromatic number is exactly equal to the maximum degree of the graph. Okay, clearly it has to be at least the maximum degree, because if you have a vertex of degree 10, you need at least 10 colors, 10 different colors around that vertex. Right? And what this theorem is saying is that actually the maximum degree suffices. That many number of colors suffice.
Sir, can you just recap what you said in the last 5 minutes?
I
Just recap.
haven't said anything important
Okay.
except that we will be proving this theorem today, and that is our main goal. Right?
Okay.
And then, if we have any time left, which I hope we will, then we will discuss some main ideas for proving Wissing's theorem, and we will complete the proof of Wissing's theorem only on Monday. I hope. Okay?
Okay, but this is not Wissing's theorem, right?
This is not Wissing's theorem. This is bipartite graphs.
By part of. So by Wissing's theorem, we mean chi dash g less than equal delta plus one. That one.
Right. For all
Okay.
graphs, for all simple graphs.
For all simple graphs. So we will start the lecture by proving this theorem.
Yeah.
Wissing's theorem. Okay.
Okay. All right. So we'll prove this theorem. But before that, I want to discuss some main ideas for proving this theorem, which will also be useful in proving Wissing's theorem, some of these ideas. Okay. So, okay. So the proof is going to be by induction on the number of edges of the graph. Okay. So we can remove one edge, right? And when we remove one edge, the maximum degree cannot increase, it can only decrease or remain the same. By induction, the graph G minus E will have a proper delta edge coloring, right? So let's say E is some edge, UV. Let's say G is XY, and U belongs to X, and V belongs to Y, right? And X is going to be the black vertices, and Y is going to be the white vertices. Okay. So by the induction hypothesis, G minus E has a delta G minus E, has a proper delta G minus E edge coloring. Okay. Notice that, as I just said, this is at most this quantity. So I can very well assume that G minus E has a proper delta G edge coloring, right? Maybe some edge colors are not being used, but that is not a problem. Right? In a proper 7 edge coloring, you don't have to use all the 7 colors. Okay. Right? So the graph G minus E has such a coloring. And what is our plan? Our plan is to extend such a coloring. Let's say C is such a coloring. So C is a coloring that gives each edge a color from 1 up to delta, right? And when I say delta, I mean delta of the main graph. So the plan is to extend C to a proper delta edge coloring of the original graph G, right? Ideally, this is what you want to do. You want to take a coloring of the smaller graph and argue that somehow you can assign a
But
color
sir,
to this last
I have a
edge.
question. So here it will be small c will be a function from a set of G minus E because you are taking
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
graph G minus E.
that's right.
A set of G minus E.
Yeah, good. Right. So we are coloring all the edges except the edge E, right? And we want to somehow extend this. We want to give a color to E that is compatible with the existing coloring of G minus E. Good. So this is the main plan, and a similar plan will be used in the proof of Wissing's theorem as well. There are some differences, but the essence is somewhat similar. Okay. Good. Are there any questions or concerns at this point? All right. The problem is this plan may not always work, so we will come back to it to modify the plan. Okay. When things don't work, you trace back and you change the plan. Okay. But before that, I want to take a different viewpoint of colorings that I have mentioned multiple times before. Alternative viewpoint, which is very useful. So I want you to have two viewpoints in mind. One is this function, which gives each edge a color. Okay. Another way of thinking about colorings is if you have a, so let's say C is a proper delta edge coloring of some graph. Okay, so I'm changing the graph name here because I want to just look at this alternative viewpoint. Okay, and in this discussion,
So
delta.
so here by delta we mean delta of J, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so let's just take an alternative viewpoint, which is why I'm switching the notation to J. Okay, so one way to think about C, as we know, is it is a function from the edges of J to the colors. And by colors, I mean 1 up to delta. Okay, I will often use this kind of notation so that it's easier and more intuitive to think about it. Okay. Another way to think about this coloring is to think of the edges of the graph J as being split into M1, M2 up to M delta. These are the color classes, and all of these are pairwise disjoint. Right? There is a notation that is often used by people. It is called the disjoint union, where you put a dot inside the union to indicate that the sets being considered are disjoint from each other. Okay? You might have seen it in some other courses. So this is called the disjoint union. Right?
So
It just
here
indicates.
so here every MI is a matching.
Right, exactly. Right.
Every
So
MI is matching.
where each MI, each color class is a matching and its edges are colored with color I. Okay? I is one of your colors from 1 up to delta. Right?
So here some MI may be empty, some set MI may be empty.
Right, maybe empty. In fact, I want to actually make one small change here. Sorry, I don't want to call it a delta edge coloring. I want to call it a K edge coloring because I don't need delta for this discussion. So let me call it a K edge coloring K could be anything, doesn't matter, right? So your colors are 1 up to K and your matchings are 1 up to M1 up to MK. Okay, right? We don't need the maximum degree for this discussion.
Okay, so some set mi may be empty.
Right.
Okay, okay.
Right. Some of these may be empty. So it is like a partition of the edge set, but generally when you say partition, you mean that all the parts are non-empty. Okay, but anyways, that's a technical difference. All right. So I want you to keep both of these viewpoints in mind. Why? Why is this viewpoint going to be useful? So let's see. So in the same discussion, consider the graph formed by Mi union Mj, right? So this is the union of two matchings, right? And notice that because the matchings are disjoint, union is the same as symmetric difference in this particular case, right? So if you like symmetric difference, don't worry, they are the same thing. Okay, so for some I not equal to j. So let's say for the sake of this discussion, Mi is my red matching and Mj is my green matching. Okay, so what will the union of these two matchings look like? We have already discussed unions and symmetric differences of matchings, right? So it will just be a bunch of red-green alternating paths or cycles, when the cycles will have to be even length, right? So each component,
So
I'm looking at the
so
graph.
there will be no restriction on the length of paths.
That's right. That's right.
But
There'll be no
but the
restriction.
cycles must be of even length. There
That's
cannot
right.
be odd cycle.
Right.
There
Each
cannot.
component is an MIMJ, is an
Am I right?
MI, yeah, you're right. Is an MIMJ alternating path or an MIMJ alternating cycle, right? And cycle, because it is alternating, it implies it is even length. Okay. But paths could be any length. Okay. Right. And if an edge, if a vertex is not incident with either Mi or Mj, you can also get isolated vertices. But you can think about isolated vertices as Mi, Mj alternating paths if you want to. It doesn't really matter. Okay. So I want to discuss one last idea here. Supposing I take one such component. Supposing I take one component, so it will be red, green alternating path or a cycle. Let me just draw a path for the sake of example. So let's say this is some component in my graph. Right? So generally this graph, we will call it Gij. Okay. So it is the red-green subgraph of your graph. So if you look at some component of Gij, okay, let's say H is the component. So this is my graph H.
So basically
Someone's
here
mic
H
is
is a
on. Can
component
you
of.
turn it off, please? I'm getting a lot of noise.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So here H is a component of Gij, right?
Yeah, that's what I've written. Yeah.
Okay. And H is the component. H is basically MIMJ alternating path.
Yeah. In this example, it could also be a cycle. I'm just drawing a path for the
Right.
sake of example.
But you have taken alternating path. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now I want to mention one thing. In fact, I want to ask a question. I want to ask a question. Can you use H to get a different proper K edge coloring of the graph? Kapil, I think your mic is on. Could you please turn it off?
Yeah, so I was actually thinking about this.
Yeah.
I want to say I want to say that if we have a matching of any length k, then there should be like some matching with maybe less than k, such that the maximum matching is there in that set. If I can say this, then okay, I don't really know how to prove it's exactly delta using this, but I thought this might be the case.
Sorry, what are you trying to say, prove again? I didn't get it.
One of M1, M2, and MK, without loss of generality, we can say that that's the maximum matching.
So basically what happened is we took a bit of an aside. We are not trying to prove our theorem right now, right? I'm just discussing this alternative viewpoint. And in this viewpoint, there is nothing that implies anything about the size of any matching. Right? I'm just considering any KH coloring.
But sir, I have a question.
No, let me first complete this. Is it related to this discussion?
Yeah, means so my question is related to Srikanth, what Srikanth said just now.
Okay.
So basically, he's saying that one of the matchings M1, M2, MK will be a maximum matching.
He's saying we can assume that or something along those lines.
Yeah, but I think it will be difficult to prove it.
No, we don't want to prove it at all because that's missing the point here. We are considering any coloring, right? So matchings, you cannot impose any size on the matching because I could basically give a different color to each edge.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, this could be an coloring with as many colors as the number of edges of the graph. Right?
Means I have an argument. So means I just got a hint what Srikanth is trying to say. So I am saying simply that, so suppose you have bipartite graph G, okay. So suppose in the first, sir, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So suppose in the first we have a bipartite graph G and we find a maximum matching in G. So a maximum matching can be found in polynomial time. So suppose this maximum matching M, it is a one color class. It is M1 actually. So now we remove the edges of M1 and in the remaining bipartite graph, we'll again find a maximum matching M2.
Yeah, but that is completely orthogonal to the discussion, right?
No. I think in this way we can use at most delta colors.
But we are not trying to prove that here. I'm trying to talk about an alternative viewpoint of an edge coloring. We are not trying to prove the theorem right now.
Okay.
Right? So let's not go on a complete tangent here. So Srikanth, are you getting what I'm trying to say here?
Yeah. Okay.
Right? So we are not trying to prove anything at this point. I'm just looking at an alternative viewpoint of edge colorings. Right? So you cannot, because the discussion is so general, you cannot say that a matching is maximum or not. Every single edge could be just one color. Does that make sense?
Right.
Okay. So now let's come back to this question. Can you use this component to get a proper KH coloring of the graph G? Remember, we are looking at KH colorings. We are not looking at delta or delta plus 1 edge colorings here.
You can try to flip the colors.
Yeah, Krishnan, flip the colors. What you can do is for this particular component, you can flip the red and green colors and keep every other edge as it is, and you will get a new proper KH coloring of the graph.
So basically, we'll change the red edge to a green edge and the green edge to a red edge, right?
Yes.
For this part.
Flip. So I'll just say swap the colors. Swap the colors.
So this swapping of colors you can also do for cycles.
I and J. Yeah.
You can also do
in the component. Well, let me make it very clear. In the edges of the component H. Okay? So for all edges that are in my component H, which has to be either a path or a cycle, right? I will just swap the red and green colors. And if I swap the red and green colors on this particular component, so I'm not looking at a part of the component, I'm doing it for the whole component, right? Then I will get another proper edge coloring. You see why? Because all the edges that are incident to the component, whatever edges are incident to this component, they can't be red or green, right? Because I'm looking at the whole component. If there was a red or green edge, let's say there was a green edge here, then that would be part of my component, right? So all the edges of the that are incident with the component, they have to be neither red nor green. So if I swap these colors, I will get another proper edge coloring, another proper K edge coloring.
So I have a question here. So are we doing this swapping for every component of GIJ?
No, I'm looking at just one component.
Just one component and then swapping the colors within the whole of it. Within the whole of
Exactly.
it.
Exactly. But if it is true for one component, then now you can do it for as many components as you like by repeatedly applying the same argument. Right? So you could actually choose all the components, and that would just mean that you are switching the red edges to the green edges and the green edges to the red edges. Right?
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
And also we could vary the choice of INJ.
Right. This
So,
is true
so
for all
we can
INJ.
take M1, M2 and do it, and then we can take M3 and M4 do it. So basically, in this way, from a given proper KH coloring,
Hmm.
you can take the color classes which are matchings, and then taking any two matchings at a time and looking at the components, we can
Right.
get different proper KH colorings.
Exactly, exactly. So you could use this idea to get a lower bound on the number of proper KH colorings if you know the number of components and stuff like that, right? Just to generalize this discussion completely. But the point I want to focus on right now is that you can fix any component, swap the colors, and get a new proper KH coloring of the graph. Right?
Okay, so I have a question here. I have another question regarding this context. So can we generate all proper KH coloring starting from a given proper KH coloring with the
I'm
help of
pretty
this
sure the
technique?
answer is no. No, there
With
are
the
there are
help of
edge
this
colorings that are actually different from each other. Right? So you can say that two edge colorings are similar if you can go from one to another using this idea, and then I'm pretty sure you can show that certain graphs, probably most graphs, have edge colorings that are not similar.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. So if two edge coloring say M1 and M not M1 and M2, suppose C1 is an edge coloring and C2 is an edge coloring. So suppose C1 is a proper KH coloring with the color classes say I say M1 M2 up to MK and C2 has color class M1 prime to up to MK prime. So by similar we mean from C1 to C1 prime we can go in this fashion.
Right.
So basically then we can say that the components of C1 and components of C1 prime will have same number of vertices every component. So what I mean is that so if I take any two matchings in C1, say M1 and M2,
Yeah.
then M1 union, if we look at the components of M1 union M2, then what I can say is that there will exist two such components in C1 prime, say Mi and
Yeah, this is getting a bit too complicated. Let's leave it for the end. Right? It's not necessary for the current discussion. So I don't want to throw off everybody by this long discussion. So let's come to it at the end. Right?
but sir, can you give I mean you just said that
Sir, tapoin kita ya.
Kapil, can you please turn off your mic? Yeah. Okay.
so I had another question. So just now you said that two matchings can be similar or cannot be similar. Sorry, not two matchings, two edge colorings. Two edge colorings can be similar or cannot be similar. So can you give an example of two edge coloring that is not
I'm
similar?
not going to give an example right now because you're throwing off everybody from the discussion, right? So the point is let's stick to our current plan. Let's finish this discussion and then we can take up other questions after the lecture on Piazza.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So is this discussion clear? Right? So we have two different viewpoints of a proper KH coloring, right? One is this function viewpoint, another is a matchings viewpoint. And the main observation I want to make, I want you to see is that you can take any component formed by two different color classes, let's say the red and the green, and you can swap the colors on this particular component, you will get a new proper KH coloring. Okay, so this idea is going to be very useful in both today's and Monday's discussion. Okay, so now let's come back to our proof. Okay, so maybe I'll write down proof here, and this is an aside. Okay, so this is not really part of the proof. This is also an aside. Okay, and now we are back to proof. Okay, so what do we have from the proof? We have a proper coloring, proper delta H coloring of the graph G minus E, right? This coloring is C. And we want to extend C to a proper delta H coloring of the whole graph G. So let me make a drawing here. This is the edge E, U and V. U is a black vertex. It has some neighbors. V is a white vertex. It has some neighbors in the graph. Right? And C is a proper delta edge coloring of G minus E. Okay. Good. All right. One last discussion on the side. So let's talk about available colors and used colors. I'll explain what I mean. Okay. So what you can do is you can look at the coloring here in the graph G minus E. We have a coloring of G minus E, right? So some colors may be used at the vertex U. Let's suppose, let's say our colors are, let's say we have colors red, blue, green, and let me put another color, let's say orange. Okay, let's say these are our 4 colors for the sake of example.
So basically you are taking delta equal to 4.
Right, just for this small example, just for this small discussion here, right? For sake of example. Okay, so let's say these are our 4 colors. So let's suppose you, if you look at the vertex U, let's say you have the colors red being used here. Let's say this is blue, and let's say this one is orange, or maybe let me just call it green. So if red, blue, and green are used here, then these are the used colors, and the available color is orange. Right? So used red, blue, and green used at vertex U, and available at U is simply the color orange. Okay, and similarly, let's say you have blue here, and let's say you have orange here. Okay, so now the colors used at V are blue and orange, and available at V are red and green. Right? So if these were our 4 colors, can you extend this coloring to the graph G? Supposing we had only 4 colors, delta is equal to 4. In this example, would you be able to extend the coloring to the graph G?
We can extend because the endpoints of the AG, say U and V, they have a common available color.
Which one is that?
That is, no, not that. So no,
They
no, no,
don't
no,
have
no.
a common color.
We don't
Yeah,
have
they-
a common available color.
They don't have a common available color. That's why we cannot extend.
We cannot extend. Exactly. So in this particular case,
So basically, we can extend the coloring. See, if and only if both U and V they have a
Exactly.
common available color.
exactly. So let's say the colors available for the edge E is equal to, so we are defining this as the intersection of colors available at U and the colors available at V. Right? So in this example, the colors available for E will be simply orange intersection red and green, and that is empty. Right? So we cannot extend this coloring. So in other words, the coloring of G minus E let's say the delta edge coloring, proper delta edge coloring of G minus E may be extended to a proper delta edge coloring of the graph G if and only if the colors available for the edge E is non-empty, right? And the colors available for E is exactly the intersection of colors available at U intersect the colors available at V.
Okay, so basically we cannot consider any proper delta H coloring of G minus E. We have to
Right.
consider a one that can be extended. Means for you the
Exactly.
colors available for the AG will be a non-empty set.
Exactly.
Then
Exactly.
only we can get delta H coloring of G.
Okay. Okay.
Am I
good.
right?
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
So let me call this also an aside. Okay, because yeah. So is this idea clear? Right. So we have this another concept of used colors and available colors, and we will find this useful to extend our coloring. Okay. So now let's get back to the proof. Okay. So we have coloring. Right. So C is a proper delta edge coloring of the graph G minus E. Right? Let's make a drawing again. We have U black vertex, V white vertex, something like this. This is the edge E. Okay. So the point is, if there is a color available at U that is the same as the color available at V, right? So if colors available at U, I'm writing down the definition again because I think it's a bit
But it's
clear.
not like we are choosing E to be a special edge, right? We are taking E to be
Right,
any.
E is any arbitrary edge. Right. If the colors available at U intersection colors available at V, if this set is non-empty, then we can extend
So here is E a special edge or an arbitrary edge?
arbitrary edge. Then
Arbitrary
we can
edge.
right, arbitrary.
Okay.
Then we can extend C to a delta edge coloring of the whole graph. Do you all agree? If there is a common color that is available both at U and at the vertex V, then we are done. The proof is finished. Right? So now suppose that this set is empty. Colors available at U, intersection the colors available at V. Let us suppose that this set is actually empty set. Okay. Now let's think about this. What is the degree of this vertex? Well, it is B of U in the graph G, right? And that is at most delta. But in the graph G minus E, its degree is at most delta minus 1. So in the graph G minus E, the degree is at most delta minus 1. Right? We have delta colors. You have delta minus 1 edges at most. So at least one color is available at the vertex U. This implies that at least one color is available at U. Okay? And by the same argument, by a similar argument, at least one color is available at V, at the vertex V. Okay? So let us suppose that the red color is available at U for the sake of discussion. So color I, let's say I is red, available at U without loss of generality, right? But we know that if a color is available at U then that color cannot be available at V. Right? Implies that red, which is color I, is used at the vertex V. Okay? But at the vertex V, there is a color that is available. So let's call it the green color. Okay? So let's say color J, green.
Oh, then we take the alternating path and switch the colors, right?
That is the plan. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say the green color is available at V. Okay. Which implies that green, which is J, is used at U. Okay. Let's make these things in the drawing. So red is used at V and green is used at U. Okay. Red at V. Okay. So there is a red colored edge here and there is a green colored edge here. Okay. And right. And there is in particular.
So just
Yeah.
for clarity, so just for clarity, so this red color is available at U, right?
Right.
So that's why it is used at V, and similarly green
Right.
color is available at V, and that's why it is used at U.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Right. So in fact, let me. So there is no green edge here and there is no red edge at the vertex U. Okay? Good. So now let's consider the graph GIJ. So GIJ is the graph formed by the red edges and the green edges. Right? So MI is all the red edges and MJ is all the green edges. Right? They are matchings. Okay? So let's look at this graph.
So basically MI and MJ, they are matchings in G minus E, right?
Right, they are matchings in G minus E.
Okay.
Okay? So let's try to take a step back and go to our plan. What happened in our plan? The plan was to extend this coloring to a proper edge coloring of the original graph, right? This we can do when we have a common color that is available at U and V. So that is already done. The problem is when we don't have a common color available at U and V. So in that case, the plan is to modify C to C prime and then extend C prime to a proper delta edge coloring of the whole graph. Right?
So for C prime, when you consider the color C prime, for the color C prime, color available at U intersection, color available at V will be non-empty.
That will be non-empty. Exactly.
Okay. So basically that's why we can extend C prime to a proper delta edge coloring of G.
Exactly.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So we are looking at all the red edges and all the green edges, right? And right. And now let's look at the components of this graph. We are looking at the components of GIJ, which is all the edges which are red and green. So the vertex U will belong to some component and the vertex V will belong to some component, right? So let's say, let GU be the component of GIJ that contains the vertex U, and let GV be the component of the same graph that contains the vertex V.
So because the graph is bipartite, GU is not equal to GV.
Good. That is actually a good point.
But it is not clear to me why GU is not equal to GV.
Okay. So let's come to that in a second. First of all, can GU or GV be a cycle? Yeah, our components are paths or cycles. Can any of these components be a cycle?
So if it is a cycle, it must be an even cycle first of all.
Sure,
And
but can it be a cycle at all? Right, so what is the question? Can GU or GV be a cycle? Look at
No,
the
because
drawing very closely. It cannot, right? Why?
U and V are terminal edges.
Exactly. U and V are degree 1 vertices. You cannot have degree 1 vertices in a cycle. No, because degree of U, sorry, it's just D, not DG. Degree of U in the graph GIJ is equal to 1, which is equal to the degree of V.
okay,
this
because
graph,
this because
right?
U is incident to exactly U is incident. I mean, both U and V, they are incident to exactly one edge of MI union MJ.
Exactly. Either have a green edge or they have a red edge. They don't have both.
So in the graph GIJ, they have degree 1, so they cannot participate in a cycle.
Exactly. Right? So these components cannot be cycles. They have to be paths. So this implies that GU and GV are both paths. Okay, good. And now somebody said that they cannot be the same path. Can you explain why? So claim.
Since UV is
Yeah.
a
Go ahead.
Since UV is an edge in bipartite graph, U and V belong to different bipartitions.
Right.
So
Right.
any alternating path from U to V
Hmm.
must have cannot have equal number of red and green edges.
Right, right, exactly. So the point Kapil is making, I mean, one of the things that he's using is that in a bipartite graph, XY, all the paths joining, all the odd length paths, they have to join a black vertex to a white vertex. And all the even length paths have to either join two black vertices or they have to join two white vertices. Right? All odd length paths are XY paths. What I mean by XY paths is that one vertex is X, one end is in X, and one end is in Y. And all even length paths are either XX paths or YY paths. Okay? And note that if this was one component,
Here by length of a path, do you mean number of edges?
number of edges, right. Length of a path is always number of edges. Good.
Number of. So by odd length path, we will start at a vertex X and end at a vertex Y. That you are saying.
Right.
And even length will end at X and end at X or Y. Okay, fine.
Exactly. Right. So now let's look at our drawing. If GU is equal to GV, which means that U and V belong to the same red-green component. Well, if they belong to the same red-green component, then this component will start at a red edge and end at a green edge, or vice versa. Right. So, but if you start at a red edge, if one end is a red edge and the other end is a green edge, your path has even length. But that's only possible if both of them are black vertices or both of them are white vertices. But we know that they belong to different color classes. Right?
No, can you repeat this last argument?
Yeah, I'm going to write it down. If GU is equal to GV, then what does it look like? You start at the vertex U, which is black.
Okay, then both U and V must be the end vertices of this path.
Exactly. They have to
Because
be the end
they have degree
vertices.
1. They have degree 1. That's why. Okay.
Exactly. So
And
this
the
is a
first
red edge.
First will be red edge. Okay.
Right. Sorry, which one is red?
First will be red and
okay.
the last one will be green.
Yeah, depends on, yeah, exactly.
No. First
So,
one will be green. Second
first
one will
one
be
is
last will be
green
red.
and the last one is red.
Yeah.
Right?
First one will be red.
Oh, sorry, last one is
Red
red.
edge.
Sir,
Yeah, go ahead.
so adding a UV edge will create an odd cycle, right?
That is another way to think about it. Exactly. So there are at least two ways to think about it. So this is an even length path, right? Because you are starting at since we start at a green edge, start at green and end at red, right? But that is a contradiction because the two vertices x and y, they belong to different colors. So all paths have to be odd length. But this is a contradiction
Okay, so
since
basically any path in GIG is also a path in G, and since
right,
U and V they belong to different parts of X and Y, any path must be of odd length.
exactly,
So there cannot be even length path. So that is the
right,
contradiction.
exactly,
That's the contradiction. Okay.
right, right. So that gives you a contradiction, right? Another way to think about it is
Basically the contradiction. So basically the contradiction arises because U and V belong to different parts of the bipartition.
right, exactly. Exactly.
Am
Another
I
way to
right?
think about it, yeah, is what Krishnan said. You have an even length path in G minus E, then you add the edge E, so you get an odd cycle in a bipartite graph, which is a contradiction, right? So there are these two different ways of thinking about it at least. Okay?
Can you repeat
So,
the last point? Last point. Even length path in?
well, Krishnan is saying that if you get an even length path, then you
Yeah.
add the edge U and you will get an odd cycle in the graph G,
Yeah, odd cycle. Yeah.
right? But G is a bipartite graph.
Which is bipartition, you can an odd cycle. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So what we have proved is that the two components are different. And now can somebody complete the proof? If the two components are different, then how do you complete the proof?
So basically, U belongs to a path, V belongs to a path, and
Exactly.
both the component paths are different.
Right.
Both the component
Right.
paths are different. So this is a scenario. Okay.
Right. So let's say this is the path GU and this is the path GV. Right. So they are alternating paths, but I'm not drawing the colors right now. So what do you do now?
Swap color in one.
Exactly. Pick one of the paths and swap the colors. You will get a new proper delta edge coloring. Now the same color will be available at both vertices. You give that color to the edge E. Okay. So now construct C
Okay,
prime.
but we will
Yeah.
take only one path, say GU, and swap its colors.
Right. Exactly.
Then U will be adjacent to, instead of green color, it will be adjacent to a red color.
Right.
And then there will be common available color between U and V, which will be green or red.
Exactly.
Which one?
Right.
So that
So
color I
let
will
me
give.
exactly.
So basically that color I will give it to the AG.
Uh-huh. That's right. Now, as per this coloring, a common color, right? So if we swap on the path GU, what will happen is this will become a red colored edge, and so the green color will be available at both of them. A common color, in this case, by the way I chose, it is a green color, is available at U and at V. So green is available for the edge E. This is the proof, right? So give the green color to the edge E and you are done.
So basically, when you are considering the path GU, say
Hmm.
path GU, it is a path containing U, and U is the end vertex of this path because U has
Right,
degree 1, and every edge of this path is either red color or green color.
right.
So it is starting with green. So when you are swapping, its starting color will be red. So
Hmm.
originally it was green, red, and now it will become red, green, something like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Right. One.
Okay. So yeah, I was hoping that we will have time to discuss Wissing's theorem, but we won't. So that's fine.
Okay, but so if we swap the colors of both the component paths GU and GV, then it will create a problem. Then we
Yeah,
cannot do.
then you will basically be in the same situation
Same
again.
situation, yeah. I mean,
We just want to swap for
there
one
will be
of
no
them.
common available color between U and V. Yeah, then we
Exactly.
cannot give any color to the AG. Okay, fine.
Okay. So that's the proof that all bipartite graphs are delta edge colorable.
So
Yeah.
yeah, sorry, I may be missing something obvious, but
Yeah.
in that below case, like, can you repeat why like they can't be the edges, red and green edges can't be a part of the same even cycle. Like,
Well, you see, they can't be part of a cycle at all because the vertex U has only a green colored edge and no red colored edge, as I've written here. And the vertex V has only a red colored edge and no green colored edge. What that means is that in the red green
yeah, yeah.
graph, they are degree 1
Yeah.
vertices.
Yeah, after that it's fine, but 1 second.
Okay? Yeah.
Okay. Why does you have like only a green colored edge?
Right, because we discussed that if there was a common color available at U and V, then the proof is already done. Right?
Yeah.
So, but we know that there is one color available at each vertex because of the argument here. The degree in G minus E is at most delta minus 1 for the vertex U. If you look at the vertex U, the degree in the graph G
Yeah.
minus E is at most delta minus 1, right?
Yeah.
Because you have
Yeah.
removed one edge.
Yeah.
Right? So at least one color is available because you have a palette with delta colors.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? And so the colors that are available cannot be the same because otherwise we
okay.
are done. So that is how we
Okay.
reach the conclusion that green color is available at one of them and red color is available at the other.
Okay. I see. Okay, fine.
Right?
But sir, I have a question. So here means this question is not regarding this context. So I am saying in general. I am saying in general. So can I say?
Yeah, so let me just conclude the lecture. So yeah, basically we are done for today. In case you want to leave the meeting, that's fine. So we will be proving Wissing's theorem on Monday. I'm not sure if we'll complete it, but if we don't complete it, we will complete it on Tuesday. Okay? But go through this proof again because some of the ideas that are used here will be used there as well. But that one is far more intricate and complex than this proof. Go ahead, Ananya.
So within Tuesday we will prove Wissing's theorem, right?
By Tuesday, we'll complete it for sure.
Okay. No, so I had a question. Means not a question, just a general comment.
Yeah.
Just a general comment. So can you go to that figure about?
Drawing, yes.
Yeah, drawing. Yeah.
This one. This
And
one.
there- yeah, I mean this one. Yeah. So in this drawing, we are saying that since the AG is incident to U and V, we can say that the degree of U is at most delta minus 1 because it can be at most delta in G. That's why. So, but it may happen
Right.
that any other vertex in G minus C other than U and V. If we take a vertex of G minus C other than U and V, then that vertex may have degree delta.
That's right. That is correct. So this is because we are removing the edge E incident at U and V. Their
That's
degree
what we
can
can
be
say,
at most delta minus 1. That's right.
So I actually just remembered that this was exactly the problem which had come in our
I
end
see.
sem of
I
graph
see.
theory course. And the solution that I had find, I just remembered it. I was going through my solution. So what I did was we can extend we can add more edges and vertices to this bipartite graph
That's right.
so that we can assume the graph is delta G regular.
Right. This is
Then
what
we can
Aranya
find.
had suggested yesterday, actually. So
Oh.
there's an alternative way to prove it, which is to use that you can make the graph delta regular by adding more vertices and edges. And then you can find disjoint matchings by our discussion day before yesterday.
Yes.
Right. So that's another way to prove it. So since it was already on your assignment, I may not
Actually,
put it on
basically,
the
this
assignment.
proof which Kapil was saying is basically is in the book Douglas West. Means I have seen in the book Douglas West that this proof is given.
Right.
They are in
And
that
I think
book.
in Bondi Murthy it is given in the exercises.
Exactly. Yeah. Bondi Murthy doing so. But in Douglas West, they have called it a theorem and they have proved it. And in the proof, they are extending it to delta regular graph. And since it is delta colorable, and they are arguing that any proper subgraph of delta regular graph will also be delta colorable.
Right.
I mean delta H colorable. Yeah.
Yeah.
H colorable. Yeah.
So which
So-
course was that, Kapil?
It was
Graph
graph.
theory by Sharat Sane.
By Sharat Sane. Okay.
So it may happen that other vertices of G minus C other than U and V, they have degree delta.
That's right.
That's it.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
basically, then in that case, delta of G minus E will exactly be equal to delta of G.
That's right. That's right.
So in general, it is less than equal to. Okay.
Yeah.
And sir, you were saying that there can exist, means Srikant asked a question regarding not Srikant, but I raised a question regarding similar and non-similar, not
Right.
similar edge colorings
Right.
to define. So, can you give an example of two proper edge colorings, proper two edge colorings, two
Sure.
proper K edge colorings which are not similar?
Well, sure. Let's try to think about it. Um,
So basically,
Well-
we are given a graph G and an integer K. We have to give two proper K edge colorings of G which are not similar. Means one cannot be obtained from the other by the sequence of operations which you defined earlier, or which you said. Okay.
let's think about it. I mean, I would think of small examples because why think of complicated examples if there is a small one? So can we do it on a triangle or something?
Yeah. Means I just need a small example. Yeah.
Let's try to construct one.
Actually, the question seemed very interesting to me, which you said in a
Yeah.
means whether
So why don't we do this? Why don't we do this? I will put it as a do-it-yourself problem. Try it. I will also try it,
Okay.
and then we will discuss.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we can discuss it in the next class.
So yeah, I will put it as a do-it-yourself,
In the next class, okay, fine.
or try it yourself for those who are interested. Construct a graph. You want a K edge coloring or a delta edge coloring? What do you want?
KH coloring for any K.
For
K can
any
be
K.
delta also. K can be delta also. Doesn't
But
matter.
then it's easy. If you want any K, then you take an optimal coloring, right? So it uses the minimum number of colors,
Okay.
and you take a coloring which uses more colors. Because you see, the swapping process does not change the number of colors, right?
Can you repeat once again from the beginning?
Right. So if you want just any coloring, right? Any colorings. So you want any two K colorings, or you are okay with a K coloring and an L coloring?
No. I want any two K colorings.
You
So
want
the
two
value
K
of K is
colors.
fixed. So the value of K
So
is
you want
fixed, but
all
K
K
can
colors,
vary.
so which means you want all K colors to be used,
Okay, so
right?
okay, so I have to make it precise. Okay, so let's do it for delta.
Okay.
Okay, so let's do it for delta. So given a graph G, I want two proper delta colorings, two proper delta H colorings which are not similar.
Consider graph G with two. Let me actually make it slightly more general with two chi-prime colorings. How about that?
Yeah,
Or,
yeah. Okay,
or
fine.
two delta colorings because chi-prime might be equal to delta.
Yeah, because chi prime is the minimum value. So if
Exactly.
in any proper chi prime coloring, any set must be non-empty. Any color class must be non-empty.
Exactly. So you want two proper such colorings that are dissimilar. So what do I mean by that? One cannot be obtained from the other by swapping colors in some bicolored component. Right? Bicolored component means you take two colors, bicolored component. Right? So you cannot obtain one from the other by a sequence of these operations. By a sequence of these operations. Right? And what are the operations? You swap colors in some bicolored component. Okay, so I've written it a bit disorganizedly. I'll put it in a more organized fashion in Piazza. Is that your question, Aranya?
Exactly. So by similarity, we mean one can be obtained from the other by swapping colors. in
Exactly.
the component.
Exactly. Right.
Is my question, yeah. And since here we are since here we are dealing only with chi-dash G, so any chi-dash G, a proper edge coloring, any matching must be non-empty set. Means any
Right,
color
right.
class will be non-empty.
That's right. All color classes will be non-empty.
Yeah, because chi-dash is the minimum value.
That's right.
Minimum value for it, there is a proper edge coloring. Okay. Yeah, it is my question.
Okay,
So we
good.
can discuss it in the next class.
Yeah, sure. Or you can discuss on Piazza. If you find an example, put it on Piazza.
Okay.
If I find one, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Means this problem is actually seemed very interesting to me when you said yeah.
It
Means
is similar to other such things that appear in combinatorics. That is how I chose the term similar and dissimilar.
yeah, exactly. Means